We have four, five including me. Okay. Good evening, friends. Welcome to Tadpoles chat. So, as this is the football season and the world is talking only about football, the Football World Cup, we're here to discuss about other things regarding football, things that are affecting
Kind of lost your voice there for a minute.
office today. He plays for the veterans of Delhi-based club in the Delhi League. We have Aditi Chauhan here. She's the national team goalkeeper. We have Avni Bharti joining us from Singapore. He plays for a club called Balestier Khalsa in the under 16 division. And of course, we have the man himself, Franz Gazla, the man behind the success of NGO UA. Okay, so the discussion, as we know, is very. So we're here to talk about Indian football and the factors affecting it. So the first topic of discussion is, uh, will India ever make it to the World Cup? You guys can talk about it in any way you like.
I think the women's team, Indian women's team, have much brighter chances compared to the men's team. If we see the world ranking as well, I think that proves my point. The women's team is ranked 51 in the world, whereas the men's team is ranked 154 out of I don't know 200 countries that play football. I think women's team definitely has the brighter chance to qualify for the World Cup.
I agree with no point. Team has much better giants, but there's a much better chance for winning this way in the future. Yeah, we can qualify in the World Cup in the future, maybe 10, 15. Okay.
I think the men's team should first compete on the Asian.
Exactly.
To conquer
Exactly.
Asia.
Step by step.
Yeah, exactly.
Step by step. Neat, what's your input on this?
Yeah, I agree with.
Anything about
First, we have to look at the continental stage before we progress in the World Cup. First, we have to establish ourselves in our own continent before we can think about. So we have to be realistic in approaching this thing. It's not easy. It takes time, and we have to plan accordingly.
you just coming here? You obviously know everything about the grassroots level in India. You've been dealing with the girls for quite some time now. What do you think about this? Why haven't we made it to the World Cup yet?
Well, I think you've got a whole lot of talent here, but the coaching totally sucks. You don't have any good coaches at the grassroots. The coaches coach like government school teachers teach. The students get hit. Nobody makes it fun. I don't think most of the coaches want to be coaching anyway. So you've got this massive sort of dichotomy between the fact that you've got all these kids who want to play, but nobody wants to teach them right. So I think in a generation you could have a massive, massive change because any which way is up from where it's at now. So can India get in the World Cup? Of course, but you've got to have some grassroots systems because even if you did it just in one state right, you'd have a chance of being in the World Cup because any given Indian state has got twice the population of most European countries. I think what you said about the women's team making it in, I think that's absolutely right because the women's game is not developed to the point of the men's game internationally. So if the Indian women's team, if girls in India start if girls in India start getting coached right and getting the right opportunities, you'll have a massive influx of players and huge amounts of talent. And if that is translated into good selections and then good coaching at a national level in the youth teams, and if there are actual selections that continue throughout the youth teams instead of just calling up players you had last year, then definitely very quickly there'd be forward movement, and it wouldn't be ranked. Women's team wouldn't be ranked 50th; they'd be top 10, I think. Abnit, are you here with me?
Yeah, I'm here with you.
Okay. Did we lose those other guys or what?
Sorry?
Are the other guys still with us or did we lose them?
I think we lost them.
All
Yeah,
right.
they're back.
They're back. It's ironic that their connection seems to be the worst. They're in Delhi.
Yeah.
I'm in a village. You're in Singapore?
Yeah, I'm in Singapore.
Okay. Great stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
France, it's a good thing that.
All right, I think they're back.
So when you say suck, the coaching sucks. So where do you think they go wrong?
Well, I don't think there are many places where it goes right. The coaching that I've seen, everywhere from the youth national teams right down to, the village level, it's, a type of I'm the guru, type of coaching. The coach can do no wrong. You've got plenty of lines, laps, and lectures. Lots of people standing around, not touching a ball. I mean, it's just not fun. The best coach in the world is the game itself, and football is a really fun game. Even if you get the coach out of there and just give a ball to the kids, they're going to probably get better pretty quickly. And I think you see huge numbers of boys throughout India who are absolutely astonishingly good. With their footwork, with their dribbling, with their ball control, and they don't have any coach. So I think first and foremost, you've got to ask yourself the question: if we add a coach to this practice, is it going to be better or worse than it is? And if it's going to be worse by adding the coach, then you shouldn't put him in there in the first place, or her. And there's just a lot of abuse, and the coach kind of is sort of like the fun police in the middle of the ground, and that's not what I had growing up, and it's probably not what Abnit has over there in Singapore. If it's not fun, why play? And if you can't have fun with the kids, why coach? So there's.
Abhi, if you could come up. So you've been coaching in Singapore for quite some time.
Yeah.
So if you could just highlight the difference in how different is it there from India?
Okay, so first of all, in India, the coaches are actually you consider them as your guru, or you're like, yeah, you have to respect them every single time. And especially, even in youth, there's lots of pressure on the players to win. But instead, whereas in Singapore, it's all about development. The players develop mentally, physically, everywhere. And here, the coaches are just like friends. You joke around with them, you have a great time off the field. The interaction between the coaching staff and the players is just amazing over here, which India lacks. In India, you can't say they're too strict or anything, but they need to change. The coaches need to change the behavior towards the players. Yeah.
There's no Aditi, and you've grown up in the you could just shed some light on this.
Well, they have a very good point. Both they said the point. Beneath just said that coach the behavior is damn right. Off the field and on the field, both there has to be something. The coaches need to be good to the player. They treat them well, treat them in a positive way. Everything must be that right over.
I think France is absolutely right. We lack the quality of good coaches. I think if we really want to achieve those targets of qualifying for the World Cup or dominating Asia for that matter, I think it's really important to work on the grassroots to know the talent in that. We are like we have around 1 or 2 billion population. There's no lack of talent, I think. It's just the talent identification and development that we lack it, and I think those points can be improved on. And I think AIFF, they've established academies and they're working on development of the grassroots. But I think private sector also has to put in their efforts. I think it has to be a wholesome effort to develop football if you really want to qualify. To develop football as such. So I I think Francis is absolutely right. When he says that we lack quality coaches, it's not just. I mean, being in India team, I think I can say that I can feel the difference that the coaches that the other international teams have and what our team has, and so I'm playing at an international level and still I can feel difference. So I don't know. I mean, if we go down to the grassroots, we can't even imagine what the quality would be. And also, I'd like to point out that there are very less number of A license coaches. I think we lack A license coaches, and I mean, the women's team doesn't even have, and the head coach is not even A license. I think that is, I mean, you can imagine the senior Indian women's team doesn't have an A coach as the head coach. So we can just imagine the kind of grassroots. And I think it is important to, and it is also important for players to be connected to sport. It's like in India, a lot of players they just complete their playing career and go back to their profession. They take up some other jobs. It's really important for the players to be connected to the sport if you really want to improve the condition of football because they have knowledge and so much experience that can really help promote football and improve the level here.
We've talked a lot about the problems that are existing in India. Now let's talk a little bit about the solutions. Okay, Franz, if you could come in here, what are the steps that need to be taken to improve the state of football in the country? You think? What do you propose?
Well, I think there might be a couple of different ways to go about it. One, the most difficult way might be to try to improve the existing systems, because I think that you've got the head of the AIFF who's elected by the heads of the state associations, and this nobody's really accountable to the players at all in the system, and a lot of the players actually they come from poorer backgrounds where their parents are not comfortable taking on authority, and so really there's no sort of pushing back against the system by really anybody who's dependent on it, so therefore it never becomes sensitive to the people who it's supposed to serve, which are the young players. So people can try to reform that system. I really don't know how. And the second way that probably is going to, in my opinion, work is that football is just going to become more popular among the middle classes and the upper middle classes, and the middle class of India is larger than the entire population of the U.S. And if these people have got their kids playing, football, then they're going to start demanding, some kind of quality within that system, and they're going to be asking their private schools where they're playing, where the kids are studying, to start coaching football as well. So I think that there will be some sort of alternatives to just going for a state selection or going for a side team or whatever. I think that the club structure is going to evolve and develop just out of the demand by kids and parents, to have sports and team sports and good coaching. So I think at that point, once there becomes sort of a wave of popularity among the upper middle classes of their kids playing team sports, at that point, then they're going to demand some accountability within that system. And if the system doesn't respond, then they're probably just going to make their own systems. And
so it's all the football culture that should be inculcated in India. That's what you think? Like in Europe?
I think so. I don't have much hope for these European clubs coming in and making 10,000 rupee a month training programs in Delhi and Bombay. I think they're here for the Indian fans and to sell T-shirts, and maybe if a few good players get caught up in their net, they'll reel them in. But I think we lost him again, huh? Yeah. I'll wait for these guys to come back. Where can they possibly be that their internet connection is like that?
I don't know.
I'm running off of a little mobile internet device in rural Jharkhand.
Oh. Yours is still faster than theirs.
Yeah, it seems to be. There.
Yeah.
Are you from India originally, Abni?
Yeah, Indian
Where are you
national.
from?
I'm from Bihar.
Oh yeah, okay. So you know
Yeah.
Jharkhand well.
Yeah, it's nearby.
Where in Bihar?
Near Patna.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We've got one of our young guys in the final selection for this Liverpool FC that came to India.
Oh, the residential academy, right?
What's that?
Is it for the residential academy, the Liverpool one?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. And so how power went out.
Are we back?
I'm back, but my power has gone out. Electricity has gone out.
It's a bit cooler actually.
One second. Let me see if I can get a light in here.
Yeah. Abhi, just come in here.
Just a second. I'm gonna see if I can get a light in here. My power went out.
Yes. Abni,
Yep.
we've obviously experienced football outside India. So as we're talking about the solutions,
Yeah.
the things that need to be done to
Yeah.
correct the state of football, what do you think?
Well, personally, I feel the government needs to pump in more money in football. Even if they pump half the money they pump into cricket, it's going to be more
Exactly.
popular. So first of all, the popularity needs to be there in football. People, like all the fans, support and follow the English Premier League, the Spanish League, but has any Indian ever said I follow Mohan Bagan or Dempo? It's really less. So first of all, they need to establish their own league, so all the citizens can be like, yeah, I support Mohan Bagan. I'm a diehard fan of Mohan Bagan. I'm not saying these people don't exist, but they're really less. And the second of all, as we talked earlier, it's all about grassroots. And grassroots doesn't always involve the players, but the coaches. If there aren't proper coaches, you can't groom proper players. So yeah, and there are also many setbacks in youth development in India. Especially, you might have heard about the age fraud, where overage players take part in age-capped competitions. Yeah.
Aditi, what do you have to say about this?
I'll talk about the women's aspect. I think most of the players who are part of the senior India team come from states like Jharkhand and Odisha and Manipur. So these people are coming from a really poor background. So what they look when they play for the country or take up football as a profession is to safeguard their career. So I think the state associations and the All India Football Federation and the government should really put in their efforts to make the careers safe. I mean, there's no medical facilities, the long-term, as you say. If the players is injured, and they don't really get anything from the federation or the government. So I think they have to make the players safe and they have to make, to make players motivate them. Motivate the players to be a part of and to train hard and be part of the. I agree that everybody cannot be a part of the international team, but just take up football and they really to motivate the players. I think how they motivate players is by securing their careers and providing their medical facilities and all those things. I think that would really help youngsters to join the sport.
Cool.
Uh, Basically, they all said it all. They write each and every thing on this. All these things are right. So I don't have to
Okay. Coming to my next topic of discussion, let's discuss about football in India now. The three main factors that are affecting Indian football, which I believe are your health, food, and diet. Fans will have good about this. You've been associated with others for quite some time now. Let's talk about malnourishment first. France.
Your voice is cutting in and out a bit. Did you say malnourishment?
Yeah, we wanted to talk about health, food, and diet.
Okay.
We didn't
Yeah.
So, yes,
Yes,
with you are girl for quite some time now. Let's talk a little bit about malnourishment. What do you feel about the health standards in football when it comes to India?
we've had coaches come from the U.S. And from Canada who've said that a number of the girls in UA could play at a Division II level, collegiate level, if they went to universities in the U.S., but they probably wouldn't be able to play at a D1 level, at least most of them, because of their size. So they were saying skill-wise, touch on the ball, footwork, shooting. They're skilled enough to play, at a D1 level, but they're not physical enough to play at a D1 level. So it's I've heard people say that people in India are just smaller, but scientifically that's not true. Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo have got a book called Poor Economics. This is from the MIT Poverty Action Lab, and they talk about this question of are Indian people smaller than people in the West, and no, it's not true at all. When Indian people moved to the West, they did a study of Indian people in the U.S. By the second generation, even if they're Indian people are still marrying Indian people, their kids are the exact same size as Caucasian people who are living there. So it's not a question of genetics. It's absolutely a question of diet. If you
Just coming to this, Franz, do you feel your average dal and roti is good enough to make you a good footballer?
Well, I think the Indian diet has got everything you need. You just need to eat enough of it. And the girls that I'm working with are not. They don't get any variety. So if you go to an Indian, a middle-class Indian home, because somebody invited you over, you're going to have the best meal of your life, and everything is going to be there, course after course of it. But these girls.
Franz just froze. Franz. Yeah. Meanwhile, Riti, if you could give your insight on this,
I
about the
think
food issue and diet
I
issue.
recently attended an AFF conference on nutrition.
If you're not getting the right diet, you're not going to be developing, to your potential physically or, and that physically includes, your brain. You're not going to do as well in school if you're not being fed right.
Okay. Any comment?
Yeah, I just recently attended a conference on nutrition that was organized by AFF. And I'd like to say that I being a player for over 6 years I've been playing, I came to the knowledge about the importance of nutrition in the game very late in my career. I think for the past 1 or 2 years, I've started putting a lot of effort in to know what I'm eating, what kind of minerals and vitamins do I need. Being a woman, I need a lot more vitamins and iron and everything. I think that kind of knowledge is lacking. The players are not educated about the nutrition aspect, and I think that is really the area that we lack at. And we see the stats. I think the rural areas we're suffering from malnutrition, and in the urban areas we're suffering from obesity. So there's a great variety. Difference if you see. So I think it's really important to educate people about the nutrition, and especially the players. I know a lot of players who do not get the right kind of education and everything, but wherever that possibly, educate the coaches maybe to just supply some amount of knowledge to the players at least, so that basic information about the nutrition and all that, sleep, your rest, and everything should be passed to the players. And as Franz talked about the height difference and the physical difference between Indian players and the international players, yes, that matters a lot when you play at the international level. But if we see Japan won the World Cup in women, Japan won the World Cup recently, and I'm sure their average height is very less compared to maybe players from USA or Australia. I think that is one of the aspects that is concerned. That really influences a match or player's performance. But I think apart from that, physically you need to be strong. Even if you don't have that good height or something like that, you need to be really. You have to strengthen your body. You have to get proper diet. You have to sleep well. And all these small things comprise, and when they're put together, that is what makes a good player. I think, and of course the tactics and skill and everything that
Alright.
comes along.
Okay, Abneet.
Yeah, I agree with whatever both of them said. That's what I feel. The coaches need to tell the players what they should eat because football is actually you have to be fit in order to play football professionally.
Only coaches tell the players they should eat. They should not follow that.
I feel that the coaches need to teach kids about the nutrition aspect, as Aditi said, because as you know, malnutrition is not only the poor people who do not get in sufficient amounts of all the aspects of the food pyramid, but it is also the higher class people who eat McDonald's every day, KFC every day. That's also called malnourishment. So that's why you need to educate the players. It's a must. Not only training on the field, but this and also like things like injury prevention is a must to players.
Yeah, they're right. Health, diet is the main thing actually. Rest, I think, is must. Good point. Yeah, rest is a must. On the field, there are different things that has to be done, but outside the field, there are various kind of things. Right, as we said, maybe yeah, the coaches have to tell the players when they start growing up. The coaches have to tell the players that what you should have. Yeah.
Franz, what do you ask your girls to eat?
Actually, we have nutrition workshops led by a young woman from Jharkhand here. So I'm not the only person on staff here. We've got right now we've got about 9 people who are living here living here in the residential center that we've got. We've got a guy from Nepal, a guy from India, a girl from India, 2 girls from MIT in the U.S. who play soccer for MIT. We've got our female program coordinators from the U.S. So we've got a number of different people here, and we're all kind of doing what Abneet had pointed out, which is helping the girls to understand, helping the players to understand what it is that is going to help them to become healthy. That has to do with nutrition and everything else. So it's a pretty tough thing because again, back to this study from MIT's Poverty Action Lab that talks about nutrition in India. Incomes have risen even in rural India here. Real income levels have risen, but people have stopped. The caloric intake has decreased. As people have started making more and more money, they're eating less and less. And the conclusion of their study was that there's just a lot more things to spend your money on now, and that usually it's the men in the house who are determining where that money is going to go. And so they're buying, motorcycles and TVs and, satellite dishes for their mud houses. And the girls who are the ones who are, working the hardest and, cooking for the families and getting the water and, getting the wood for the fire, making the food, they're the ones who are eating last. And I think I read, yesterday that there's not a single country in the world who's got a higher percentage of adult women who are malnourished than India, and I see that all the time here, among the girls too. But I think that football, Abni was kind of pointing to this, but I think football, can be a great way to teach people about nutrition and about what's going to make them healthier. A lot of people have said to me, how can your girls play if they're not getting enough to eat? And I think when girls come to you, they start to at least learn, what they can do to make themselves more healthy. So, yes, but nutrition is a really massive challenge.
About my next question, Adneet, I want your opinion first about my next question. Because you fit in that age group. As everyone knows that India will be hosting the Under-17 World Cup in 2017. A lot has been written about it. Media has covered extensively. What do you feel? Do you actually think India will benefit from such a tournament? Indian soccer will benefit from such a tournament? Or do we need to develop a lot more before we can bring in such a tournament to our country?
Obviously, the players are going to get there's a huge benefit towards Indian football. If you look at the players, they're born in 2000, which are going to play in the 2017 World Cup. They're going to compete with the best in the world. But and India is going to host such a large event, which, as I spoke earlier, it's going to contribute to the popularity of the sport in the country. So there's going to be advantages, but it's how the country prepares for the World Cup, how the squad prepares. I've heard that the under 13, which are going to participate in the 2017 World Cup, have already started preparing. It depends how it goes, and we'll hope for the best. So.
Your inputs?
I think it'll be a great boost to the promotion of the sport as such because what we've seen the Indian viewership of the World Cup, if we see, it's been great. I mean, the numbers has been great. So I think being the host nation, I think that will really help promote the football enthusiasm in India. Even more, I would say, because I think I don't think there's any lack of enthusiasm if we see the follow how if we see the number of people who follow European leagues or any of the European leagues. So I think it'll be good to promote Indian football. And it has also helped AIFF started focusing on the grassroots even more. I think since the time they put a bid for hosting the World Cup, they've put in a lot of effort to promote youth football in India. They've set up academies in various cities, and they're really trying to invest in infrastructure. So I think that is one of the things that has really helped India in promoting football.
First of all, I would like to say that it's a great opportunity for a country. Very good, very good event. World Cup is understanding World Cup is a big opportunity for a country. Maybe parents now, young kids, of kids before the cricket was on a high base. Now this World Cup hosting in our country, the popularity will be good, and the kids will now move into football mode.
Also, I'd like to add a point that after winning the bid to host the Under-17 World Cup, a lot of other countries have seen the opportunities available in the Indian football, Indian sports market, and the football market as such. And a lot of we've seen over the years that a lot of clubs like Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool have recently set up a residential academy in Pune.
Even in Timala.
Yeah, so I think they'll be setting up an academy. So Liverpool has set up an academy. I think that is another aspect that is really helping Indian football. Getting clubs and getting other countries involved. I think that will push in a lot of money into the football industry and will eventually help in growing the football culture in India.
Okay, Franz, you're a little apprehensive about foreign clubs coming to India and investing, pushing in the money to develop football. Do you think we as a nation we are ready for the Under-17 World Cup?
Well, I guess we're going to find out. And one way or another, I think it's going to be good for. One way or another, I think it's going to be good for Indian football because if either it's going to push the football associations to professionalize a bit, or it's just going to expose that they're not professional, and either of those is a good outcome, I think. So, yeah, I think it's a very positive thing to have an event like that take place, and is going to be shining, light in a lot of dark corners that people probably don't want the light to be shown administratively.
Exactly.
So I think not. I think it's a good thing. And in terms of foreign clubs coming in, I'm not. I'm not. I don't think it's a negative thing at all. I think it's definitely a positive thing. I just don't think that India should hang its hopes on Manchester United football schools coming to Delhi, to sell some lessons at 10,000 rupees a month or something. I think that's not what's going to transform Indian football. If one of these clubs came in and said that they actually wanted to recruit Indian players, who are 10 years old right now, then that would be something very, very interesting. At this point, that's not really what we're seeing. Although Liverpool Football Academy is trying to, create this residential academy, so that's pretty, that's going to be pretty interesting. They did a selection, I think maybe 10 selections around India, and now they're having their final selection right now in Pune. So that's much different than the other ones that I've seen.
Fine. So just to conclude this, if you could have a consensus from and every one of us, just tell us the very thing that needs to change the football culture in India. We'll start with France. Just the one thing that will kickstart football future for football.
Well, I think the one thing would be if these systems start to try to benefit the kids who are playing instead of the administrators who are reaping the benefits from it. If that changes, if it becomes child-centric instead of administrative old man-centric, then that will be a great thing.
I would say the administrator's outlook towards the women's football. I would say I want to concentrate on the women's football because I know
that's why we got you.
Because I know what potential we have, and I think if a little more attention is paid towards the women's football, I think we can go a long, long way.
My point of view is the coaching system needs to be improved. That's the main point. That
Francis, they suck.
Yeah, they suck. they really do suck, man. Okay, coaching system needs to be improved.
For me, I feel it's the popularity of the sport. Instead of giving 4 to 5-year-olds a cricket bat and a ball, you should give them a football so he can start playing it. That's how you develop the sport. If you look at countries in Europe, South America, even though they don't have the money to buy a football, it's called the passion that drives the nation. That's what Indians lack.
So the World Cup is on. Obviously, we need to talk about the World Cup. It's not that important for us. So I'll just start with France. USA is playing Ghana tonight. You think your team will win?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get you.
So this is a topic which is not so important for us. We want So as the World Cup is on, we need to talk a little about the World Cup.
Sure.
So the match is tonight. USA is playing. Your country is playing. What do you think are their chances?
Well,
yeah.
Believe it or not, I don't have a TV.
Okay.
But I was able to catch highlights, and I was in the capital city in Ranchi trying to transfer some large files to Delhi for a campaign that we're doing, and I got to see one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, which was the Netherlands playing Spain, and it was just one amazing goal after another, and it was so. I'll be tuning in for the highlights, but to be very honest, it's kind of hard for me to stay awake because we've got our program starting here really early in the morning. We've got practices and classes every day, but I'm not a rabid U.S. supporter.
Okay.
I'd be pretty happy if Brazil wins this. I'd like to see Belgium do really well because tiny country with a pretty awesome team. I wouldn't even be too sad if the Netherlands wins after their crushing defeat in the last World Cup. It's kind of cool to see. So I'm not really
somewhere in the semi-finals or quarterfinals.
I'm sorry, what?
They have a tendency of puking every time they reach a final or semi-final.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of countries have got that problem. Yeah, you play out of your mind for a few games, and then all of a sudden you actually realize you're not that good, and then you get smashed by somebody who is.
I think we have
Sorry, we got.
German fans in our panel.
Yeah.
You're wearing a Germany jersey. I believe you support Germany.
Yeah, for this World Cup, I'm supporting Germany.
Germany as well. Apur here supports Netherlands. I'm sorry, he's not a Germany supporter. So, I need to say first, what are your team's chances? In Portugal in March time.
I expect Germany to be in the finals at least. They're a great side, even though we've lost Royce. I think we've got a great side with a perfect coach who can guide the team.
You believe Miroslav himself will become the all-time highest goal scorer in World Cup history?
Hopefully he can, and today's game will test his ability for this World Cup against Portugal.
I think why don't you give us a perspective? Netherlands just thrashed Spain. Do you think they are a threat now?
Definitely, I think we can't rule out any of the countries because the way the results have been out. I mean, we can't take any of the countries lightly. And speaking of the World Cup, I think Brazil is going to win the World Cup.
Okay.
That is my prediction. But I would definitely like to see Germany in the finals against Brazil.
France, this just about concludes it here. I just need a little bit from you for all the aspiring football fans in the country. Two lines for them. What do you think they need to do for a better future in football?
For a better future for Indian football?
Yeah, 2 lines for those aspiring footballers.
Yeah, Abneet said it over there. Put down the cricket bats and give your kid a soccer ball.
But then the cricket fans will start shouting, right?
Yeah, toss away the cricket bat and give your kid a soccer ball. That if 1.2 billion people start playing football, good things will happen.
Neil, what do you have to say about this?
The same thing. I've said it over and over again today. It's all about popularity.
Popularity.
If people start to take interest, it's going to grow. And we've seen it in the past years, especially in the youth of India. It's growing. Football's off the charts now, and it's going to increase.
Well, yeah. Anything can start our daughter football. That will help a lot.
I would just say to every footballer, I think just keep working hard. I'm sure over the years, our time will come at some point. I think you just have to keep working hard. You can't take anything for granted. Use the internet to get knowledge, even if you're sitting in a remote area like France, but you still have the internet. I think you should definitely use the internet to get the information about everything, nutrition, rest, if you want anything, just skill or anything like that. I think definitely just keep working hard. That's what I would say.
Okay, so I think the hangout has gone as we planned it, minus the problems in connection. Franz, I would like to tell you all the best for all your future endeavors. The Tadpoles will always be associated with you, come what may.
Thanks so much. Come out and visit us anytime.
Cool. You're the first person I call when I need a story about football. Okay, Aditi, thanks for joining us. Apurvia, Abneet there from Singapore.
Yeah.
Thanks for participating.
Yeah, no problem.
This discussion, as awesome as it is. Okay, that concludes it then. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Thanks.
Bye.